Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Vumbuzi Podcast, courtesy of Traceability TV. In this first episode, we'll be talking about how great engineering and technical teams are built. And with my first guest here, I have Joseph Olo, team leader, software and data at GS1 Kenya. Now, Joseph has been in the industry for over 10 years and he's built amazing products. Just to give you a scope of the work he's done, every time you're at the supermarket and you're at the counter and you see the counter lady scanning out, that's probably something that is built. He's built a product that is currently supporting over 10,000 businesses in Kenya, and globally they're a company that's beyond reach. Joseph, maybe you can introduce yourself and tell us what you do and where you work.
Thanks so much, Mike. I believe you've done a great job of introducing me more than I can introduce myself. But all in all, I think you've captured most of it. Maybe just to add is, apart from software, I'm also a motorsport enthusiast. So when I'm not building, products or something of the sort, you'll find me at the racetrack.
Racing or building cars?
Well, maybe tweaking software for the cars.
Fair enough. That's amazing. So where do you currently work?
GS1 Kenya is my day-to-day, 9 to 5. Okay. So that's where I'm currently at.
That's amazing. So what does GS1 Kenya do? Where is it based? What sort of problems do you feel like you solve with what's being built here?
So just to give you a perspective of GS1 Kenya before I explain what GS1 Kenya is or does is when you go to the supermarket, I believe you buy some items, whether for yourself or for your partner or you name it.
Yeah.
At the point of sale, that's where the cashier is. They usually scan some products.
Yeah.
So there is a scanner. So whatever the scanner scans, that is our solution. That is what GS1 Kenya is great at. So the solution is the barcode, and we've been doing it for the last 54 years. But since then, we have advanced so many other solutions.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So maybe we can just talk a bit about you. So you've been in the industry now for 10 years. Yeah. I believe 10 years ago, it's much different than what you have now. You'll find there's some people who are entering into software because there's such a big buzz about it behind AI, because the things you can be able to do in such a short period of time. So I'm just curious, what got you into technology 10 years ago, and what was the trigger to all of this that we have now?
It's actually a funny story. So my first choice was not software. My first choice was aviation.
Interesting.
So aviation was my choice. But by then, very few, let me call them institutions, provided, that course. And if they did, it was very expensive.
It was hell expensive as well.
Very, very expensive. So if aviation wasn't going to cut it, I was going to do avionics or aeronautical engineering. But still, by then, in the 2000s, early 2010s, there weren't really course institutions providing it. It came later on, but by then I'd already even started my course, almost finishing.
Yeah.
So even for that, I had to go to South Africa or outside Kenya to do the course. At the same time, my folks were like, apana, biashara ndo important.
Fair enough.
So imambo ya IT we are unsure of it. Mbona unataka kufanya hivi na hivi. So that's why they said do a business course, BCom and everything. But then it was still very marketable. But for me, my passion was never there. So I saw something very close to aeronautic engineering, and after research, I came across computer science. So computer science was in the country a few years by then. By then it was still C#, Visual Basic, Fortran. I don't know if you know what Fortran is.
I hope no one is listening who's written Fortran. I don't even know if it's a language or a framework, but
yeah, it is still being used today. I'm very, very surprised, but it's still being used. I don't know by who, but not by
it's
me.
being used somewhere.
Even GS1 Kenya is not using it, but I'm sure people who are still using were the OGs.
Yeah.
And when tech was being introduced in the late 90s in Kenya. So as I was saying, after computer science, I knew computers. I was always trying to figure out how can I build something. How does this thing tick or work, right?
Yeah.
So In software, I found a bit of that. That's why I wanted the aviation initially. I just want to know how planes work, how planes at 20-ton, object can fly. But me, in my 70 kgs of 60 kgs by then, I cannot even fly.
Yeah.
So how is it possible? And such kind of too many stories. So from there, I went to computer science. I did the course. I did maths and computer science actually. So I chose maths and computer science because they complemented what I wanted to do essentially. So if you're going to build great products, you must also know and learn algorithms and those other things. For that, you can do it within the normal computer science, well and good.
Yeah.
But then again, I needed to understand how, like a baby, if I need to run, I need first crawl, I need to walk and then run, right?
Yeah.
So in computer science, that was how I got into it, and I got quite interested with it. So there was a Visual Basic, there was C#. We did it. I passed the courses, but by then I didn't know how to deploy systems for other people's use. We were just building for ourselves. So that's how I actually came to love, building softwares initially, until I realized also software is limited. What you actually need to know is building a solution for that, software that you're
solving someone's problem.
Yeah, exactly, essentially, yes.
Yeah, and I believe at GS1 you're solving a big problem, I'd say. So could you give us maybe some history into what went into the thinking of maybe creating the barcode? And do you think the problem was there, or a problem was created and a solution was sort of formulated to solve a problem that maybe never existed?
Really great question. So even for me, that was the question I asked myself when I was joining GS1.
Yeah.
Was the barcode really a solution for a problem, or someone came up with it and said it is needed, so you just continue with it?
And there's a problem,
But after some time, actually after now reading books in the business world and understanding what problems are being faced in retail, I came to realize that it was actually a problem that was fixed by a big retailer back in the day, in the 1970s, 80s. So there's a book called Good to Great, which now also I see usually pushes it a lot. I read it, I finished it, and actually it's one of my top 5 books, greatest books I've ever read. So in that book, how they mentioned was there's this concept called hedgehog concept. So what it essentially means is for us, a company to move from being a good company to becoming a great company, it needs to behave like the hedgehog. So the hedgehog concept is there is a hedgehog, the animal, the ones with spikes. And then there is a fox. So they live in almost the same habitat. So the fox is the predator to the hedgehog. So in this case, the hedgehog has only one defense, but doesn't attack any other thing. But the fox is very cunning. We have sung that song ever since Primo, as cunning as a fox. But in this case, with all its cunningness, the fox could not kill or attack the hedgehog, because the hedgehog just had to sit still
and wait.
The spikes wait, the fox will eventually tire out and move away. So in the hedgehog concept, after explaining now just those two comparisons, the hedgehog has 3 aspects for it to be a great defense to every attacker, even a lion, you name it. The first one was for you to be a great company, you would need to be the best in whatever you do, or the best in your field. And this, I'll explain how GS1 and the barcode came to play. The second one is you needed to know your passion. Are you passionate about whatever you're doing and whatever you're trying to achieve? And then thirdly was how are you costing? Is it cost per customer, costing per unit? Coming to the software space, how are you costing per, you've had software as a service and many other ideologies that have been floated around over some time. So those 3 aspects would essentially separate you from being, just normal to being a great company, or being a good company to being a great company. Yeah. So in the good companies, they would either miss one or two of the aspects, but in great companies, they would have all three and would do it consistently. Yeah. So coming back to the barcode came to solve, a major problem in retail. So in retail back in the day, what would happen is, and it's still happening in brick and mortar shops now. You go to the kiosk, you want something, the shopkeeper will pick it. But when they pick it, at the end of the day, they need to reconcile what items were sold and the costings. So you see now that is a lot of work to do at scale. So you can imagine for shopkeeper it's fine. It can be a 3 meter by 3 meter shop, but imagine for a supermarket like Carrefour, Naivas and the likes. Who will reconcile all those stocks? Yeah. So that's when the barcode came to solve that issue. So each and every item would have a barcode. So when it is being, scanned out, it would identify the product, the price, and any other information that is needed. And at the end of the day, reconciliation is made easier. So even actually our tagline is the global language of business. So after that, that first supermarket launched the barcode with the assistance of the GS1. Before it was GS1, I'll also explain that later on. That's when all supermarkets saw that it is a much easier way, because now it made supermarkets much faster, efficient, and easily scalable to many other locations. So the owner of the first retail outlet will really say, at the end of the day, at the end of the month, I can have those information in real time, because it was digitized in a way. There was some component of human, but essentially there was scanning in and out. So that is how the barcode came to be. And GS1 was the pioneer there, and GS1 now actually made it not only for retail by then, but have scaled it to many other sectors up to today. Okay, now I'm very curious, and I'll ask a very stupid question. I'm putting myself in the shoes of a 50 or a person who was there 50 years ago in US to the supermarket. So I see, for example, Tesco rolling out its GS1 and its standards. Yes. So the reality is, anyone can create a barcode, and the barcode is, you can create a barcode with your name, you can create a random sequence. So this can be 1, the other bottle can be 2, 3, 4, etc. So why do you think those companies did not do that, and what was GS1 doing differently that allowed them to penetrate that market? Because essentially, as I've said, there is no unique thing about this barcode. Essentially, anyone in corporate America will be able to create their own barcodes. So what was GS1 doing differently then and now to ensure that they are sort of the spearheaders in that space? Great question. So when the barcode was launched in that manner, that was actually one of the, I can say, hiccups or hitches as it was continuing to scale into other nations or other continents. So the question you've asked, I don't believe they had seen it by then, and they eventually saw it. And the same as software, you develop something, you get a bug, you have to fix it and improve it. That's why there are versions. So for the barcode, it came there around the same way. So before GS1 was formed, there was a company called as UPC, which was supporting the Americas, that is North and South America. UPC in full is Universal Product Code. And then there was a European one called EAN. So EAN is European Article Numbering. So in 2004, they realized they were doing the same things. And also, how did they come to realize they were doing the same things? Essentially, as you've just said, I can create a barcode and someone else in another country maybe might have the same idea as me and create the barcode. So there's a possibility of them clashing at the retail market or the point of sale. So it can be water, it can be milk, you never. FMCG products are the fast moving, consumer goods. So there's milk produced in Americas. We are living in a one global village. Someone producing cheese or something else in Europe with the same barcode. So when you scan it at the point of sale, and it reached a point now, Walmarts and the likes were, creating retail outlets in different continents. So the systems are the same. But also the barcode, for it to be unique, it has to be one product, one barcode. So in the system, when they try to add this new product, it would clash. So UPC and EN sat down together, the board of directors of both companies, and they created one global standard, hence the name GS1. Yeah. So from there, they decided they will be the governing standards body for unique identifiers. So the identifier is what the content inside the barcode. The barcode is just a capturing tool used by the scanner, but whatever is inside is what now GS1 licenses out to members to use, which is unique across the world.
So I think probably that's a selling point, where it's unique across the world.
Yes.
And we'll just come a bit to the system, where we have a local system that you'll probably talk about, how your different members are able to generate barcodes. So for example, if it's a company like 254 Brewing, they can be able to generate where they are making their beers. If there's a company that's doing biscuits, they can be able to do this within a system that you've built. So I'm just curious, do other GS1s in different countries have an enterprise software they use? And if so, why didn't GS1 Kenya decide to go with that model, where you'll see sometimes corporates make the decision where it's better to buy software than build software. So I'm curious what went into the rationale of building the software instead. And when you came in 9 years ago, did you find any software infrastructure that was already there, or you had the one to build it from scratch essentially?
Okay. I think there were 3 questions in one, so I'll start with the other GS1 MO. So as of now, we are around 120 GS1 member organizations. So those are the ones operating under GS1 Global. So GS1 Global is the one of the licenses. GS1 MOs license out to the local manufacturers of our members. In Europe, or at the Eastern Europe, I can easily say there's a huge number. I don't know the percentage per se, but there's a huge number using an ERP of whatever sort. It can be an SAP or you name it that does them for that. But GS1 Global has also a tool called Activate. So this is what they license, or they give MOs to use to generate codes. It just came a few years ago, but for GS1 Kenya, we had already built our system back in 2019 or so.
Okay.
So yeah, for the America actually, I can easily say they have a very, very good system on their end. And South America, which is Latin America, they also have, some countries are getting support from GS1 US. From there is for GS1 Kenya, I think the year was 2018, if I'm not wrong, 19.
Yeah.
So when I joined GS1, I joined as a consultant first of all. I didn't join as an employee by then. So what GS1 needed by then was just a consultant to assist in the IT aspect. So as I joined, it was not really on, building, enterprise grade softwares, but essentially just to assist in the small softwares that our members, GS1 members can use or leverage using GS1 standards.
So what examples of those what examples will those be?
Okay.
The small software?
The first software I remember that I built was fixed asset management. So, many companies have assets. So when they're doing audits or when the year ends, they usually balance the books, and assets is one of the chart of accounts in balancing of books. Actually, even when I started building systems is when I understood what accounts and the features and the modules. It's quite broad, but story for another day. So fixed asset was one of the major things that our members needed, since they would really need a way of identifying each and every asset. Instead of calling it tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, table 1, table 2, it could become confusing. Then again, you're putting a price against it. So if that person leaves and then another person takes your position, how do they know table 1 was this, table 2 was that one.
Yeah, if the knowledge transfer is not accurate,
it is not accurate.
So much data.
Yeah, so they would need GS1 standards to identify. So if it's identification, it will always remain
that
for that particular asset. Yeah. So that was the first one that I built, and then the other one was now in the retail space, since majorly GS1 was on retail. The platform was called Thamani Online.
Okay.
It was quite a huge project, took around 8-12 months to build, and that was my first experience in building a tech team. So a tech team comprising not only back-end people, back-end, front-end, logo designs, graphic designers, mobile application, someone who understands cloud and everything. So that was my first instance of trying to understand this, and it was quite an uphill journey. 3 years of just switching. This works, this doesn't work. Yeah. But we're here now as of now. So Thamani was the second one. That one was fully based on GS1 standards from the GTIN, the GCP, which is just essentially a legal document binding a company to the standards globally.
Maybe for context as well, you can explain what a GTIN is for people who
I agree. So a GTIN means global trade item number. So that is the content, as I mentioned earlier, the content that is inside the barcode.
It will essentially be this number that's, for example, in this this bottle you have 616-4003-709-026. So that will be a GTIN now.
That is a GTIN.
Okay.
Yeah, so for this particular item, we call it SKU, sellable key unit, I believe.
Yeah.
It will always remain with this product for the entirety of its lifetime. Yeah. It will never change. It's like an ID for a product.
Okay.
If a person dies, the ID also dies with the person, similarly to a product. So those are some of the standards we placed in Thamani Online. So Thamani Online was now trying to solve a problem that is very existent in retail. So in retail, you have manufacturer, which is the brand owner, you have distributor, warehouse, and then finally you have the retailer. So these three are the major players, but in between the three you would find middlemen, a transporter, a mini distributor here and there, retailer of another retailer. So it would make the retail supply chain quite complex. So how Thamani was just coming to solve it was bringing everyone into one platform, and then paying the brand owners or the owner of the product using their GTIN. Because as of now, the retail space pays the brand owner based on, I know the company, I know someone in that company, this is the company that provides us. But you see now, if you're using identifiers, it is quite easy to track front and backwards, essentially blockchain. You can say that, so that is what Thamani was coming to solve, and it's still being used in 1 or 2 areas to solve problems, majorly in the brick and mortar shop. So that's why we are trying to make it work as we scale up to the level 1 or tier 1 retailers.
So now I'm very curious. Let's talk about, you said the system that you currently use or your members use was built in 2019. So I just want to paint a picture to people who are listening to us. I believe you had members pre-2019 who are using barcodes, who will not survive essentially in the supermarkets without you guys. So I want to understand how those members are getting their codes. Did they have to come to the office physically? What was this process flow like pre-2019?
So pre-2019, coming to how I became now, building the software and everything. So pre-2019, GS1 Kenya has been in existence for 27 years now. So back in 1998, we were called EN Kenya, and then 2004, when they merged with the UPC, it became GS1 Kenya. 2006. So there was quite a huge number of members and quite a huge number of data, but all of this data was still physical, right? So how members would come, they would come to the office, go to the membership desk or get assisted by the customer help desk. I need barcodes. After being assisted, they will be told, go to the membership desk, register. So they'll register their company. There's some KYC documents would take.
And by registration, I'm assuming you take physical form, everything.
Everything was
Okay.
manual. Everything
Okay.
was manual. It was human appeal, human touch. And from there, after signing the documents, they would be printed out. Then again, a list of barcodes and the images of their barcodes may be sent to their email
That's interesting.
later on. So it worked for some time until the numbers started reaching hundreds, thousands. 1, 2 people, even if you're going to say 5 people, cannot sort 500 people who come to my office in one day, right?
Yeah.
That was actually one of, as the Gen Zs call it, red flag.
That is a big red flag.
Yeah, big red flag.
And I think a bigger red flag is the fact that I had to be in Nairobi, or did you have branches in different places? Or, for example, if I have a Mombasa Cement, I'm hoping Mombasa Cement operates in Mombasa. But for Mombasa Cement, did I have to find my way to Nairobi to get the barcodes? And in that case then, were there other providers who would provide that for me locally or in my area of jurisdiction at a cheaper price?
Funny enough, when I joined GS1, that model was just dying. So there was a model of having agents machinally,
okay. That makes sense.
Having agents machinally.
That's a smart way where software is not solving a problem, but there's a process already solving a problem.
There was, but still, even for that, everything was still done in head office. So the generation of the codes, the approvals, the legal documents was still being done here. So even the agents were there, they would be sent later on, but they would just take the data and whatever, but still everything was being done here. So it would create a bottleneck or a blocker in making, GS1 standards scale to each and every, manufacturer within the country. And Kenya is quite broad. It's quite big. One of the bigger countries in East Africa. So when I was joining GS1, that's when now they were being told, come, you'll be working from head office, and still, it was still manual. So they had to come. So someone in Mumias is in Western Kenya. So someone from Mumias would, get per diem and, come and benchmark or whatever. But they'll still have to come. So they come maybe just for one day. After coming to Nairobi, offices were somewhere in Alibid House in Mombasa Road. They would be sorted, wait till they are sorted, and then once they are sorted, they would go back. To the offices in that county. By then, they were not even counties. They were called provinces.
Long time ago.
Provinces, So that was pre-COVID actually, pre-2019. That's what was happening. So from there, when I joined 2018, the management by then, including the board of directors, decided, can we digitize this? And there was a lot of talk on things going, online, things going live. I mean, most countries had already gone online by early 2000s. But Kenya, I don't know, we catch up after some years.
Was it that phase of analog to digital? I remember.
Yes. So the whole period, 2030 and too many stories. So it was during that period. So 2018, it was signed off. So that was actually after Tamani. It was signed off. Tamani had already done, built it, board had seen it, the management had seen it and said, it is possible. If you can do this in the retail space, why can't we also digitize for our members? So for our members, it was signed off and it was commissioned that a certain date, a system is going to be built for members. So the only caveat was I was not the person commissioned to do that build. There were other solution providers and every other, software providers who had been, and actually one got it. So they tried to build it for some time until it reached a point and they said, hey, whatever you're asking, we cannot do it. So I wondered,
why do you think so?
Even me, I wondered. I didn't have a relationship with them by then, but I was like, okay, why can't you build it? So that's when I came to realize building software is one aspect. Building a product is another aspect. The major difference is, do you understand your customer? Do you understand their workings and their problems? So if in that process, it is very easy to build for that problem. But if you're not there, you're used to billing. But then it was that, analog to digital. So most people are building apps, fintech apps. A lot of fintech companies were coming up. So people were more on that than building, solutions for a particular problem. So that's when I come to now building software and building a product. It's two different aspects.
That's interesting. Actually, before we go there, now I'm very curious. As a member, I come to GS1 and I'm given an A4 sheet, I'm assuming, with barcode 1 to barcode 20. So how is so for example, will it be after I print, I'm supposed to cancel it out? Like I'm trying to see how problematic that whole flow was even for the person who was doing this printing or using these barcodes at the end of the day. How do you think that process was after they get the barcodes here in an A4 printed? How do you think, was it easy for them? Was it hard for them to sort of now use that in their products to make sure as well they don't do any repetitions in a way?
That is actually one of the problems that actually made the board decide we need to build the solution, which my story of how I built the solution will still come. So there used to be instances, and actually there are multiple stories. I'll just give 2 or 3. One in the past, one in the near past. Would give the members the list of barcodes. So we tell them within 7 days, 5 to 7 days, please return the barcode with the product description. You see, that's another blocker. They are human beings like us. Definitely, they'll go and do their own stuffs, and they forget that this is actually really key.
I hope you're catering for the fair, because I'm seeing there was a lot of
back and forth.
So hope either your costs are a bit low, or there was a fair, you're giving them some money to just
come. I mean, the company needed a solution. We are providing it, but you're not providing the fare. Yes, you are not providing that service. But fare kando kidogo. Back to the issue of double allocation. So what would happen is they would write a list of products against a barcode. Some would give us back, but some would not. But you see, even if you're doing that, it reaches a point after 5 years, that list becomes a bit blurry. You don't know which barcode belongs to which product, and teams change. So someone maybe was given a promotion, someone was fired, someone moved to another company. There are many reasons why people move. But in that case, the product will still remain the same. The custodian of that list is the person who changed. So when they changed, some of them did not go training as a GS1 Kenya, member by then. They would assume, these are just numbers. So I can just take any number and assign. And that's when our company started seeing that the reason why we used to ask for that product list back to us. One of the instances was Uchumi and Kenya Meat Commission back in early 2000s, I guess. By then, I had not joined the team yet. I was still aspiring to be a software engineer, but I'm here now. So what happened was KMC had their list of barcodes, but 1 or 2 barcodes they had deactivated or were no longer producing the product. So Uchumi, someone in Uchumi, I can't say the institution, but someone in Uchumi, because it is a human
Person
who
X.
does, Person X. So I even don't know him. So Person X saw that so this barcode, the KMC is no longer producing for us. Let us take it and use it in our, I think, popcorn brand, or bread brand. Whatever product it was. But it was a Uchumi brand. And this all for some months or some years, until KMC one day decided to check one of their products and say, this is our barcode. Why are you using our barcode? But they said the GS1 provided. So they came and even sued us.
Interesting.
Sued us saying, but GS1 Kenya, you're giving our barcodes to other people, but you said they're legal documents, they're unique and all this other stuff.
That's an interesting thing.
Those are some of the scenarios that we faced early on. And from there, Long story short, we did our, audits, tulikuwa detective kidogo, tukajua shida iko kwa. So the problem was Uchumi is the person who actually used KMC's barcode without,
letting people know.
Yeah, exactly. And essentially you're not supposed to use. It's like using someone's ID. That is identity theft. So in that case, Uchumi did product theft, you could call it. After it was being done, things went to court, the legal way, and someone was compensated a hefty, maybe 20 million
just
somewhere
maybe,
there.
Just maybe.
Yeah. But that's how the barcode really changed the retail
That's a crazy thing when you think of how a series of numbers can
change,
can build a business and can even mess up a business in a way.
Kabisa, I agree. So from that double allocation, the board was now actually fully convinced
that we
need a system, whether it will work as GS1 Kenya alone or with other parties.
We just need to digitize
track this. Otherwise, businesses are growing, businesses are becoming more. GS1 Kenya also is growing. It is not the same from when it started. We need also to grow. So back to the story of service provider X.
Yes.
They were told
it's impossible. Nothing is impossible, by the way.
Nothing is impossible.
Skill issue.
In software,
skill issue.
It's only, I agree with you. It's a skill issue for sure. So I didn't understand why. Maybe they didn't have the capacity to do it. But lightning doesn't strike twice at the same place. And I said, grab it with both hands. So I usually have a quote. The quote is Amat Kuram Victoria. That's Latin for victory loves preparation. So for me, what made me prepared for that opportunity was, by then I'd already stayed in GS1 for around a year and a half. I already knew the workings, I already understood what was going on. And from there I also knew the people. So the people would assist me build, and I would build with the people. Because a product, you're not building a product for yourself. You're building for, for the people or the person you're building it for, which made it easier. So we got, I was tasked to build it still as a consultant. From there I was told, this is how we want it. This is how we envision this thing to work. And we also want the barcode never to be generated by a human ever again.
System fully.
So we did it, and we did it in a quite very short time for that component for members.
Yeah. How long did that take? Would you say?
For the members, it actually took around 3 months.
So that was from when you were first tasked to when the MVP was out. And how long did you test that sort of portal before releasing it to the members, or was it just today we trust you and it goes out? And I'm asking that purely because of the sensitivity of double allocation of the errors that you make.
The errors,
And I'm even curious whether there was a bit of fear in you seeing what happens if you mess up in a way. And it's just a series of numbers where if your algorithm is off by one number or two numbers, you're essentially being the one paying that 20 million fine. So was there any fear when you're given this project in a way because of the sensitivity purely of the industry you're in?
By then, when I was being given this project, there was no fear, simply because I had built Thamani online prior.
So you had context.
But in Thamani, I was very fearful. In fact, I was scared.
Shitless.
Yes, 100%. And there was pressure, because you see, for that one, I was dealing direct with the GM by then and the board. So I was not presenting to staff or whatever.
Yeah.
So the stakes were high.
Yeah,
it was either I was building something that would make them, convinced, or something that was, just neither here nor there. I could call it Jabba.
Yeah.
But when I was building now the ERP for GS1 Kenya, essentially it was starting with that bit. It was a CRM module first of all.
To manage your members.
Yeah, managing members essentially. Now it has scaled to like 7-8 different modules, which are different. But by then it was only CRM. HRM was a very small feature. Accounts has been being built for the last 4 years. just simply because
And
I
it's
didn't
hectic.
understand it.
And
but I finally understood
I'll
it.
tell you guys a story about how I was an intern here, I think 3-4 years ago, and just before I left, I was given the accounts module, and and I actually also have a question in regards to that down the line. Now I'm very curious, still on the sensitivity of how perfect the software had to be. I'm curious about how you chose your tech stack, how you chose your team then. If you had a team, you can let us know.
Yeah.
But maybe we can just start on how you chose your tech stack. And I'm assuming you needed a tech stack that was very scalable to be able to ensure that all the millions of people who do retail in Kenya can be able to be supported via this system that's essentially supposed to be up 24/7.
24/7.
Because I'm assuming for, let's say, a company like Unga Limited that's doing Unga, if there is a possibility that I'm going to print my barcodes and I don't, you're making me lose a lot of money.
Yes.
So I'm thinking the tech stack decision had to be a very key one. So I'm very curious how you made that decision, what you chose, what were the options you had, and why you chose it essentially.
Funny story. In building with the tech stack, so the tech stack we chose is called Elixir. For those who maybe don't know Elixir, it is a tech stack that was first built by WhatsApp. The solution or the software that made it very popular was WhatsApp, simply because it could handle a lot of processes and requests, simultaneously, exactly. It was fault tolerant and so many other features that made us like it. But before that, I was building with PHP. So PHP was the only language that I knew by then. So in campus, as I told you, there was the C hash or whatever, but those were for desktop, Windows application, not cloud. Me, I wanted to go cloud.
So anything web, PHP was king.
Yeah.
PHP maybe still is, I don't know.
It's still being used. It's still being, if you want to launch with Apache, and PHP is still there. It's like those pests you can't get rid of, but
you have to live with them.
You have to live with them. No one likes it, but you can't get rid of them.
No one likes PHP.
Kabisa. So PHP was the stack of choice. It built some decent solutions back then, simply because you're building for like individual companies, 1 or 2 companies here and there, and it didn't have a lot of processes simultaneously and all that. So 18 majorly, was it 18? Yes, 18. I met, we were doing some also similar project with the software team that built eCitizen, and it was going to be a joint project, but somewhere in between watu ukosana.
That's okay.
We are still friends, but tulikosana tu kidogo. So from there is where I learned they were using it. And they explained to me why this is better than even Python, because I was looking for another one better than PHP. PHP I was limited. I couldn't load even maybe, let's say, 10,000 records in a page, and the solutions we're building already were getting to those heights. So you can imagine the number of barcodes we generate or members generate in a day as of now. So just to give some context, globally, we have around 2 billion GTINs, which are the barcodes. In GS1 Kenya, we definitely are heading towards the million. So you can imagine people are generating, people are loading, people are accessing.
It's a lot of operations that you need to handle, essentially.
And that's not the only thing that is doing. There's that one, GS1 ERP is connected to it. So there's a lot.
There's a lot going on, essentially.
Kabisa. And it's 24/7, from Monday to Monday. It never sleeps. So going back to the tech stack, so PHP was limited, and I was looking fast, so I found one, and it was either between Python or Golang. So I'd already seen Golang, but Golang was more of C, and actually even more of structural object-oriented programming.
The syntax, you mean?
Yeah, the syntax. Object-oriented programming. Instantiate something, a function here, and then close it. A comma here will cause a huge error, semicolon, those kind of languages.
I really hate JavaScript.
Java, even me, that's why for me, mobile, I did it, but it was ngumu kidogo. So it was either Python or Golang. So for Python, Yeah, I understood it, but for it I also saw it had some challenges up early. By then Python was not as strong as it was now, the frameworks. Eventually got better, and Golang. So Golang was actually it for me, and also simply because it was being, supported, developed by Google, so I knew it had support for a lifetime, maybe. In my lifetime, maybe it would still continue because Google is continuing strong. So just before I moved from PHP to Golang, I met the Citizen guys. Thanks, by the way, if you ever see this podcast, for teaching me that language. And, we could turn and do something good together. They introduced me to Elixir. So Elixir, first of me, I liked the syntax, I liked the language, I like the simplicity. It's more of functional programming, so you don't need to instantiate everything, but the power in it was amazing.
It's mind-blowing.
100%, and easily to show me statistics on a process, how long it would take. So the first process I did, I moved from PHP, would take seconds, 15 seconds, 10 seconds, or maybe 5 seconds. In Elixir, it would take not the one below milliseconds is, I don't know, microseconds or something like that. Extremely fast. And I was really amazed, and I said, I've decided I'm sticking with Elixir. So from there henceforth, Elixir is the applications we have been dealing with, and that's what I have been also teaching the rest of the teams that have come under me and have left, and others have actually gone and even working for Citizen. So
interesting dynamic.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm curious, how long did it take for you to start learning Elixir and to start using Elixir sort of production? If you had to take a guess, maybe.
For me, learning code wasn't that hard. So for me, it actually took me a week to learn the language, understand it, and even build a full crude application with all the modules. It had around 7 modules, the CRM actually. It had around 7 modules, etc. So I converted from PHP to Elixir within a week's time. It didn't have all the features yet, but it could do the same. Create, read, update, delete. It would do all those features.
And I think with software that we build, at its core, it's CRUD. If you can create, read, update, delete, any big system that you see out there processing millions, at its core, that is what it does. Now I'm curious, there was the Elixir selection because of how good it is. But as you said, when you're looking at Golang, you're looking at the support it had. Then and now, I wouldn't say Elixir has the biggest support, the biggest team. So was that ever a fear of I might be able to build this software, this amazing language right now, but when something breaks or a dependency breaks, there's not someone who will be there to help me out in real time, as opposed to essentially Golang or these other high-end languages?
So what actually made me make that choice was not that hard. It was a bit simple, simply because by then, WhatsApp had already been bought by Facebook.
Okay.
So I knew Facebook would not let one of its powerhouse applications die. They would fund the community of Elixir.
They would make sure it works.
Yeah, and since then, every other week or month, there's an Elixir conference, there's an Elixir hackathon, there's an Elixir something. And by then, I used to even myself, be part of it. So the fear was there, but after I just thought that something that is being backed by one of the major software powerhouses in the world could not die. I decided to take a leap of faith, and I'm very happy.
It paid off, I'd say.
100%.
I think for me, it's mind-blowing to see how different generations view how to select software. Because I've talked to other engineers, maybe in the range of experience that you have, and for them, I tried building this in this language and it didn't work. But it's very different to how, say, people for us to find a way to work through that language. We wouldn't think about scaling in that sense. For example, if it will work in Node, it will work for 10 users, and that's all I care about. So it's very interesting to see how experienced people think. Now, the next question I want to ask is your choice of database. As you've said, GS1 globally has over 2 billion GTINs. Currently you have over 1 million GTINs. What is your choice of database then? Do you regret it? Why did you make it? And will you probably make a different decision in hindsight? Okay,
so there are various types of database. There is relational database, and the others. To me, it is relation or the others. But of late, of late there has been now other, the Redis kind of DBs, the ones that does caching. There's no SQL databases that have come in. So those are some of the things we are trying to employ also in our, day to day. But still, we are using relational database. So there was either PHP or Postgres, which comes as default when deploying Elixir or starting a new Elixir application. So PHP was the one that was already being used even back then. So moving from that to this was very easy. So trying to teach, in corporate sometimes when you're trying to move from legacy systems to a new system, it will take time, and the time for that wasn't there. So I had to come up with a solution really quick, and the solution was actually just there. It was just a dependency that would link Elixir together with MySQL.
That's
now
interesting.
Postgres came as natural, so some of applications are using now, they're using Postgres, and there's no issue there because you have scaled. So you could easily call it microservices for the functional programming world of Elixir. So for database, we are still using that for the main application, but
for others are using different things.
So we have just we're trying to add the Redis, the caching applications, MongoDB for cloud DBs, and many other DBs that we can use for redundancies, for backups, and all these other things.
Interesting. Now the next question will be in your choice of how to structure your systems. I'm assuming you use the Elixir and Phoenix Live for building the ERP that over 10,000 businesses currently use to generate their barcodes.
Yes.
Was there a thought of using a microservice, so you'd have probably a React front end or an Angular front end and have Elixir just provide the API, or it was straightforward where you just wanted to have a monolith Elixir Phoenix Live build with that?
Initially, how we were building before Phoenix Live, because when I was starting building with the Phoenix, it was majorly the templating engine where you would build with it, but still you had to either create a front end or just use basic HTML, CSS. So we didn't want to create so many different, languages. By then the team was small, so we couldn't say that we would manage 3-4 different languages on building it. So we built with the Elixir, and then the front end was just basically HTML, CSS, and JavaScript a bit. But Phoenix Live came in. So when Phoenix Live came in is when it changed the game.
It's a game changer.
You could do anything and everything. Front end, live view. Backend, live view. Even the JS functions are within. So it really came and changed the game majorly. It's like now Android, building Android applications. So by then it was the Java applications, but they moved on to now, I'm forgetting the name for the new ones, but also now there is Flutter. So Flutter is now cross-platform. You can build, the code is the same, but you can build for cross-platform. So that is Android together with iOS. So for Phoenix Live, it provided me that, comfortability, knowing that I can build everything within the live view application and easily to scale. When I'm trying to build even IoT applications, it has that particular feature now.
That allows for that.
And even for mobile, you could easily come up with something for that. So
actually, even I think Elixir is coming up with it's called Live Native. I don't know if the project is discontinued, but it's something they thought about for mobile.
I want them to continue it because I invested a lot. For around 2 months I was just researching, but by then it was only for iOS. Before I think they were trying to build plugins for Android, but we're hopeful.
Okay, that's interesting. So I'm curious, how do you think if you had a bigger team, then you'd divide it into a team that's handling front end and have a different repository, have a different language, or would you still go for monolith given you had maybe 10 people under you?
It's an interesting question because sometimes there's this quote from Steve Jobs. He said, you cannot connect the dots moving forward, you can only connect the dots moving backwards. So in one instance, from where I sit, I can easily say if I had that team that could do DevOps, one does front end, one does cloud and
One does
everything.
magic.
I mean, we would have built the best systems ever. But then again, would we have reached here? That's also a question. Would we now see how GS1 Kenya can be able to build their own applications internally for members? So user-defined applications for members. If you would have built it, maybe that we would have been building with so many different applications, which could now provide an issue of, having a large set of teams just building, different things. So you have one person simply for front end, which is React or Native or Vue or something. You have another person who's doing DevOps alone, right? You have another person doing backend alone, 2 people doing backend alone, which is good. You will get job done fast and everything. But then again, when you're building this tech team, will it be much more efficient if they only know one feature or one function, or they know everything? So from there, they can continue passing it forward to the next generation or the next team members.
I see.
Yeah, so that is one of the things that I could say. Benefits and maybe merits and demerits, but for me the merits are more.
I agree. I actually never thought about it that way because I've primarily worked in monolith infrastructures, and in that case you normally have a full view of what's happening, or over time you'll get that full view.
Yes.
But when it's broken so much, you'll only focus on what your ticket says. So if your ticket says add a user ID here, you'll just add a user ID here. You'll not look at how it affects the whole thing. You'll just, because that's the only thing you're worried about. There's another person who'll worry about how that user ID affects their front end or affects their mobile. So thinking of it, that's very interesting. The next technical bit I don't get into is the cloud infrastructure. As we've seen, the GS1 system needs to be available 24/7. If it's down for 10 minutes, you're probably getting fined a couple of million. So I'm very curious how the cloud infrastructure changed between probably when you started 2019 and now, and whether there is a question of data as well, because I'm assuming people are giving you their personal data for the KYC as well. So I'm very curious whether you store that data here in-house, or it's cloud infrastructure. Is it DigitalOcean, where will you probably have to write a contract with them to ensure that maybe security is better? How's that thinking around cloud infrastructure here at GS1?
So for cloud, by then when the ERP was being built, there is a local server, it's still there. But you see now, for that to span outside, we needed to really invest on that local server. It had been there for some years, so it needed some revamp. It was majorly just using within the local infrastructure to get documents here, fetch here, upload where everyone can access it. So when I joined the team, I think that's also one of the main reasons the other team that didn't get the contract didn't know how to maybe deploy the system and how to scale it. They were using PHP. I'm not saying PHP is bad, but they were using PHP.
The thing is, I've noticed in this episode, he's been bashing PHP. But all I know is PHP has built amazing systems. So I'll just say skill issue. But
long story short, for the cloud, so that's when I also suggest, as part of the solution being built, it would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and part of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was it needs to be a cloud portal
system,
because our members in Kisumu, our members in Eldoret, our members in Mombasa, our members in the remote areas, and they are there actually, would need to access our services. So by then there was this movement of AWS, Google Cloud, Ali Cloud, Ali whatever.
I've never heard of that.
It's still there. It's actually quite big.
Ali Cloud.
WeChat and all these things are still there.
That's interesting.
Alibaba Cloud, I think.
It's very interesting.
So I did some research. After doing some research, there was no local company providing that service by then. Liquid Telecom were there, but it wasn't really, nothing there. Safaricom was providing domain. You see the way when you buy a domain from some of these domain companies, they just provide you the domain name and space for emails. That's all. Don't provide you a server where you
deploy
bare bones server where you just create for yourself. So I looked around, no one locally. In Africa, still there wasn't any. I just decided to settle with AWS. So AWS registered and everything, but after some time it was not user friendly.
Yeah, I agree.
It wasn't.
I hate that UI. Whoever designed that UI should. I hope you're fired.
It was not user friendly. Actually, I even wrote it to them. Please
fix your UI.
Fix your user flow. It's not user friendly at all. I'm a tech person, but then again, still, it's quite complex to some extent. So I said I need another one. And also they had this feature where now if you increase maybe let's say bandwidth or storage, they would increase the cost for you before informing you.
They do that. Like even if you live in EC2 instance on, like normally get like a $10,000 bill
and you're wondering, it is only for one day, but these things increased, and then the other day it will be back to almost 10% of usage of memory. But I said no. So I met a very interesting gentleman by the name Nelson. He used to work for which company? I've forgotten the company. It was in Kilimani, Lavington areas. So you remember those movies where you'd see the nerd guy, I don't know, hacking what numbers or whatever.
He was
that was that guy for me.
Pre-AI as well.
Pre-AI. In fact, I'm even shuking. He was one of the builders of ChatGPT.
He was that good.
He's still that good actually. And even I introduced him to Elixir later on, but yeah, we'll reach there.
Yeah.
So this guy would build systems in like 5 days, 7 days. Me, I would build in 3 months. He would build in weeks.
Yeah.
And he knew everything. He was, sharp. Everything, tech stack. You'd talk those terms, threading, processing, multi-thread.
Even the choice of functions is normally different. Like I remember there's an interview I was in where, for example, if you're defining a function, I'd give a name to it. So I'd say maybe A is equals to 1 plus 2. B is equals to this.
Yeah.
Then the interview was very interesting where you're saying like that takes up more memory. Like there's some things where I write code, it's just the way I write code, but you never think about whether it's with memory, whether it's with threading. I'm assuming now he was making small coding decisions, like depending on that.
And he would use those words in normal conversation, like polymorphs, inheritance, those things you learned in campus.
Yeah, but you don't think
me, I can't remember the last time I used inheritance. And I'm talking to the teams to build their solution. So, anyways, I met him. We linked up. We caught up. So by then I was still doing PHP, Kidogo, and Elixir as well. So I would ask him, Nelson, I have this issue in PHP. I don't know how to build it. He had already moved on to the frameworks of PHP. Me was still vanilla PHP. Coding line by line. Yeah, I had moved to Laravel by then. Just vanilla coding line for line, word for word. For him, he had already done that. And for him, he even knew the word for word for Laravel. He would enter those, classes and say, here's where the error is. You need to change here and here. Maybe by then I had not learned this. So he was good. So I just asked him, I want to go to cloud. Which provider are you using? So from there, he told me, actually, the first thing he said, please don't go to AWS. They are fake, they are bad people. I don't know. The way you've just said, those guys they are the largest company in the world, maybe for this and this, but
cloud
ngumu kidogo. The only thing he used for AWS was their S3 cloud storage.
Yeah, that's really good.
That one is proper.
Yeah.
That one is proper.
Yeah.
So he told me two. He told me there was DigitalOcean and Linode.
Yeah, heard of Linode.
So the two I went and researched. Him personally was using both interchangeably. Me, I had to choose one for here. I couldn't choose both when building the ERP. So even Tamani Online. Actually, Tamani Online was the first project we deployed to cloud. So after doing research, whatever, they were very closely, matched that I couldn't easily choose. So what made me choose DigitalOcean was I love the color blue and I chose blue.
You know the crazy thing is, and I think in product design, there's someone who made that decision because they knew you'd make a decision purely based off that.
Yeah.
So I think it's also interesting to see how products are built. Like I'm very sure there's someone who decided Safaricom has to be this
color.
shade of green.
Yeah.
Not just any green, but this shade of green for it to be attractive to you. So that's very, very
So for me, DigitalOcean was attractive. It had animals, I think a dolphin. It still has a whale.
Yeah.
So it's more personalized. The human appeal is there. But for Linode, it was excellent, similar to DigitalOcean, but it was fully tech. So even if I wanted to show dashboards to management, they would be confused a bit because even the graphs they were using were more technical than DigitalOcean were a bit more friendly. Their names are here, bold, color schemes, their memory, processors, whatever, space and everything. So the visual aspect was there. So for cloud, we went with the DigitalOcean for some years now, until 2023, I believe. So from 23 is when the ODPC was there for some years now, but they said now all the data that is being shared outside needs to be stored within the country. So from there we moved on from DigitalOcean to Konza Cloud. So Huawei set up their server centers, which are still excellent, and actually even the speed became faster since we are just closer. It's closer to home.
That's very interesting. So I think the last thing I want to talk about is a team. I'm very curious how your team was then, how you hire. Does a CV matter? Does a degree matter in this age and time? What do you normally see when you're sitting across someone hiring for a technical interview? Do you ask technical questions? Do you ask non-technical questions? I remember there's an interview I failed because I couldn't, is it called reversing a node or something? But it's something I've now thought about learning, this data structures things. So are those things important, and should we learn them in this new age, or what do you think should now be the thing that differentiates engineers that want to get into the employment space essentially?
So for there is, I'll start from back then, 9-10 years ago and now. So back then, yes, I was looking for a specific skill set, if you're good at this and this. But for me personally, I'm a self-taught software engineer. So I didn't have anyone take me through these processes. So my philosophy was, I would build teams that have that skill set of passing it forward. So I know, yes, you can come with your knowledge and everything and you can build great systems, but then again, I wanted also you to understand that software is not fully machine, it is human. So the human aspect is, can you talk to the human, understand their problem, and build a solution geared towards them. As software engineers, sometimes I have done it, you have done it, most of us have done it. We think we know best.
We do know best.
And we do know best.
You users do not know code. We do know best.
We do know best. But then again, are we building for ourselves or are we building for
for the user?
For the user.
Who does not know what they want, by the way.
Yes. Eventually we'll get there, but that is the point. So I wanted also either to instill that in the people who come in, and they would have a character of learning that aspect. So I don't want you to become a software engineer for the rest of your life. I want you to understand software, but I want you also to be the intermediary of building software as a service, building software teams, building a product, and customer facing as well. So when building the tech teams, initially I was doing that aspect, getting great people. But the thing with great people I understood was it is a plus and a minus depending on the person you're working with. The plus was they would build for you solutions, whatever, for a short period of time. Great. You really had to counter check their code and you proceed to the next project. The downside is they would be like mercenaries. Build this, finish, move on to the next project or move on to the next person, bigger pay or bigger whatever. So those things to me. So that's when I decided to change my model of capturing people.
Yeah.
So I would see the person first. I would hire character, I would hire values, drive, integrity. Because we had a software engineer who decided to build a parallel system, but he was caught eventually. And those are the things that create great software engineers and create great software teams. People who are also great at communication, because software people, me included, I also had to learn it. Communication skills might be a bit tough. So if they can be able to learn communication skills, is there a bit of personal appeal, integral, have good values, honest people, then definitely software is teachable. Anyone can learn software, but not everyone can do software. So that is just some of the things in building great teams.
That's interesting.
Software. So for CVs, I can easily say yes and no, simply because of that quote I've said. Anyone can learn software or can do software, but not everyone will. So for the degrees, it is a good thing to be able to, climb ranks as well, because as I said, you want to remain a software forever. But then again, when you're starting out, when you're trying to be in the software teams or building, that's not a major thing that I look at.
I'd say for me, even currently I'm doing a bit of hiring. What I'm looking at is mostly work you've done. So I'm not the biggest fan of you have to be paid to build out things.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that means you don't love this thing enough.
Your work, yeah.
So for me, for example, if you're applying for a job and you don't have any projects done, for me that's sort of an automatic no. Even if you're just beginning, you must have something you've tried and built, whether it's a very simple CRUD application, but you must have something tangible. I think as we're winding up, the last question would be, what do you think in your 9 years here, the biggest technical challenges you've had and how you've sort of faced it? Do you feel you should have faced it in a different way? How did you approach it and how did you essentially come out of it?
The biggest challenge that maybe I can say faced was, as I said, understanding building a great software and building a great product is different. Initially, for the first few years, actually, I struggled with that even for me a bit. I thought just because I built a great software,
it's a great product automatically.
It will be, but that was not the case. Simply because this software, I saw it as good, I saw it as great, but the people who would use it either do not know about it, first of all, or it does not do anything for them. Or
does not solve their problem even. Solves your problem, but not theirs.
So that was one of the major challenges that I faced. So for that, I had to change over. So for myself, I had to be more customer facing, product management, creating the product first, doing data analysis a bit, research here and there before building the software, building the solution. So solution was I came to realize solution is very easy to build. The hard part is that one, creating something that the users will use. So the research aspect, having back and forth with the customer, this needs to change, this needs to work like this, like that. That's still human. So that is one of the challenges that now I had to face over, and after I changed over, it was a bit more easy and smoother, and even I could easily scale the team. The other one was now creating a team that would gel. So as of now, we have both genders in the team. Initially, it was just purely men. So with men, yes, you could say kazi ikaende itafanyika and everything, but still again, there was no that front facing or the front end aspect. People
no more actually, that's a factor.
UI inakaa tu sura ngumu kama yao. So
that's something actually.
Every time naenda kwa management, it is not appealing, it is not good.
So manly.
It's looking. So we had to do some gender balance here, and we do gender balance also. We have to train the teams to work together, and working together also, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. If you've read that book, well and good. If you haven't, please go and read it. You'll understand. That's also how people, work together. We'll have our differences. Kabisa, it will be there. But then again, how can we come together to create a product that will, solve problems for our members? And that's something that I can honestly say I am happy I've been able to do over the years. And as we are growing, hopefully now we'll have even not only Kenyans but people from other regions as well to be part of the team. Yeah,
and I think working in global remote teams challenges you to accept different cultures, to accept different time zones. So it's really interesting when you get to work with these different sort of people. I think this has been a very interesting, engaging, fast episode. I've really learned a lot, and it's different in different generations. And I think I'll probably experience it more as I'm bringing people who've been in the game for 10, 20 years to understand the decisions they made. Do they regret anything? How they hire, the different teams they select, such decisions that are very key, and essentially the softwares and the products that you use on a day-to-day. We've been shooting at iHub here in GS1 Kenya. It's located in Next Gen Mall. It's a pretty amazing co-working space. So if you're in software and you need some time away from vibe coding on your couch, this is a place to be. They have very affordable rates. And if you come and say you've been sent from Vumbuzi Podcast, you'll get a very good discount. In closing, I don't want to ask you a question. We'll have many guests, and something I want to have is that for the guest that's here, you'll just leave a question for the next person. So might you have any question for the next person that's coming in that might be the CTO of Google, of Microsoft? Is there anything that you'd want me to probably ask him or her?
On my side, it would be maybe just two aspects on in them creating their solutions. How exactly are they leveraging AI, artificial intelligence? On our side, we haven't talked about it, but maybe in the upcoming podcast, we'll have another session. And secondly is, when they're building these solutions, are they building with traceability in mind? Because now a lot of things now needs to be tracked forward and backward. So that would be my question for the next guest in the show.
Actually, I think we have a few minutes, so maybe we can talk a bit about how AI is changing the game and how AI is also forcing us to change how we build software here at GS1, and maybe the different AI integrations that we currently have and how we're thinking about integrating AI into essentially what our members currently use.
In GS1 Kenya, how we are leveraging AI is first and foremost, we have removed the function of the chatbot having two humans speaking to each other. Now it is the AI responding back to one of our members or any other person who's just wanting to inquire about GS1 Kenya services. So that was the first feature we leveraged AI on, and then from there we also leveraged AI on barcode verification, barcode data cleanup services. So it is a function we do for our members, but it's still a bit manual. So the AI function has come to reduce and make that process a bit much more efficient and easier. Yes, AI will always come and try and replace humans.
Yeah, that's a fear as well.
But even as a software engineers,
will be replaced. There's no work.
But the aspect of it can't replace is still the human appeal. So human to human, AI doesn't feel. Human feel. Yeah. So AI will ask it, me, I am sick, or how can you nini? It will not try and comfort you. Go to hospital. You have symptoms for syphilis, and I don't know too many other things. But as a human will be like, okay, Paul, nini, how
there's
can
empathy.
assist? There's empathy and other things. So that's some of the things AI can assist, and also maybe not can assist. AI mbele.
Thank you so much for listening till the end. I think this has been an amazing podcast. We will have weekly episodes, so make sure you tune in and subscribe to the Vumbuzi Podcast. See you guys in the next episode. Cheers.